Alright, so this is going to be lesson 7.1b. We did 7.1a when we were talking about properties of circles, so we're going to call this one 7.1b. And we're going to do area and circumference. Oops. Okay. We've already talked about our area formulas, so let's go ahead and write that down from the other page. Area is equal to pi times r squared, and again, area is always going to be in units squared, whatever that is. Circumference, whether we're talking about that diameter or the radius, if we're talking about the radius, it's 2 pi r, or if we're talking about the diameter, it's pi times diameter. So on this page, it says for the find the area for circles 1 through 4, and then find the circumference for circles 5 through 8. So we're actually only going to do the evens 2 through 2, 4, 6, 8. And so we're going to find the area and the circumference for each of those. We're not going to do the odds, so if you need to use that space for by the odd problems to work, that's definitely okay. And remember we talked about sometimes they're going to ask you to give it an exact answer, and sometimes they'll ask you to round. I don't think in your homework it's going to ask for exact, but I will tell you on your test there are a couple questions where it says to find the exact circumference, so we're going to practice doing it both ways. The other thing to think about is in your calculator, if you look at your calculators, you should see a pi button. Some of you may have to hit the second function and then the key to find pi, but you have a pi button on your calculator. And if you enter the pi button on your calculator, or you type in 3.14, you're going to get two different answers. And the reason for that is because if you type in 3.14, you're stopping the pi at 4. If you use the pi key on your calculator is actually doing 3.14159, yada yada yada. And it's going to be more of an exact answer. So we are going to go ahead and decide that we're going to use the pi key on our calculator. Anytime we have to multiply by pi, you're going to put times the pi button on your calculator. Do not put 3.14 because that's not giving us a very accurate answer. Okay? So if we look at number 2, the first thing we're going to do is let's find the circumference. Okay? So if we look at this one, we have our diameter. The 18 is our diameter. So we could use the diameter formula. So we know our circumference is equal to pi times 18. So with our calculators, we're going to go ahead and put that in. Again, you're doing 18 times the pi button. Okay? Okay, so find the pi button. Pi times 18 gives us 56.54. So we're just going to leave that as, we're going to round to 2 decimal places. So 56.548, it means that the 8 is big enough to change that 4. So we should have 56.55. We're going to use our unit of measurements, which if we look back in the problem is inches. So 56.55 inches is going to be our answer for the circumference. Okay. For the area, it's asking us, we know our formula is pi times r squared. Now if we look at this example, they gave us the diameter, right? And so if we know the diameter, remember we know that the diameter is double the radius. So if the whole thing is 18, then that means half of it is 9. So we know our radius is 9. So I have pi times 9 squared. So 9 squared is 81, so I'm doing pi times 81 in my calculator. Remember, we're using the pi symbol. So if I do 81 pi, I'm getting 254.469. So 254.47, because that 9 is big enough to change the sixth. Remember, we need unit of measurement. It's inches, but it's always inches squared because it's the area. And there's my answer for that one. Okay. If you have a question, because I'm not there today, if you have a question, you can ask your neighbor. Let's look at number 4. So again, we're going to find the circumference first, and then we'll find the area. So number 4, let me zoom in a little bit for us. Okay. If I find the circumference first, that is 2, and now I have the diameter on this one, right? So I'm going to go pi times diameter. So I have pi times 35. And again, we're using our calculator for the pi. So 35 times pi I'm getting 109.955, so that's going to be 0.96. My unit of measurement here is kilometers. And remember, circumference is not squared, so I'm just leaving it as that. To find the area, we have pi times r squared. And if our diameter is 35, and again we know that it's the full diameter because it stretches the whole way. If you look at number 6, it's only giving you part of it, so that means that's a radius. So when they give you the whole line segment, that's talking about that the diameter is 35. And 35 divided by 2 is 17.5. So I know that my radius is 17.5. So I have pi times 17.5 squared. Remember, order of operations says you need to do this first, 17.5 squared first. So 17.5, oops. .5 squared gives us 306.25 times our pi value. And I'm getting 962.11, because that 2 is not big enough to change that 1. My unit of measurement again is kilometers, but I have to remember that it's kilometers squared because I'm talking about area. Alright, let's look at number 6. On number 6, I want you to write the word exact. We're going to find the exact circumference and the exact area for number 6. Okay, so we're going to start our formula the same. For circumference, I know that it's, this time I have my radius, right? So I'm going to do the 2 pi r. So I have 2 pi, and then my radius here is 15.6. When it says exact, that means we're going to leave pi as part of our answer. So all I need to do is 2 times 15.6. That gives me 31.2 pi. And again, when it says exact, we leave pi in our answer, and then we put our centimeters on. The reason something would ask for a number to be exact is because they don't want you to round. And if you put the pi there, we know that we have not rounded. So it'd be 31.2 pi would be the exact circumference. Likewise, if we do area, pi times r squared. We figured out our radius. I'm sorry, we already knew our radius. So we have pi times 15.6 squared. So we can do 15.6 squared. And that gives me 243.36, but because we want it in exact, I'm leaving pi in my answer, and I'm going to use centimeters squared. So again, when they say leave it as exact, that means they want pi in your answer. Okay? All right, why don't you go ahead and try number 8 on your own, please. I won't pause the video, I'll just give you time to do number 8, both the circumference and the area. And on number 8, I'd also like you to make that one exact as well. So on number 8, we want to do the exact circumference and the exact area. Okay? So take a minute, find the exact circumference and the exact area, and we'll see if we come up with the same thing. This one seems almost too easy. 10.2 is my diameter times pi meters. That's all you need to do for the circumference. That's it. Now when we're doing our area, we have to do a little bit of work to find out what our radius is. All right, so go ahead and work on that one. When we do 5.1 squared, I get 26.01, but I'm going to leave pi in my answer. Meters squared equals area. Okay? All right. Let's look at a couple word problems. So they're not really word problems, it's just giving us the same information, but instead of giving us a drawing, they are giving us words, and they're giving us the final answer. So they're going to give us the area and the circumference, and we have to find pieces of it. Okay? So on number 9, it says find the diameter of a circle when the circumference is already 65.97. So we know that we need our circumference formula, and it talks about asking us to find the diameter. So let's go ahead and write our circumference formula with diameter. Okay, so we know they gave us the circumference was 65.97, so we know we can put that in here, 65.97 equals pi times diameter. If I'm trying to solve this for the diameter, I need to get rid of, pi. And how do we get rid of pi? Again, we're going to divide by pi on each side. Divide by pi. Now we're going to divide by the pi symbol. We're not dividing by 3.14. So in your calculator, 65.97 divided by pi symbol. And when we do that, my diameter is coming out to be 20.998 which means it's going to be big enough to kick this up to a 0, which is going to kick this up to a 0, which is going to make this a 1. So my diameter here is 21 meters. Okay? So it's basic algebra that we're doing. On number 10, I have changed yours. Yours no longer looks like that. Yours says an area, right? I think I changed yours. With an area of 380.13 square inches. Okay, so they're giving us an area and they want us to find the radius. All right, so if I have my area formula, pi times r squared. They gave me the area here, so I'm going to plug that in for my A. We're still trying to solve this for r. So we need to get rid of pi first, right? So we're going to, just like we did on the other one, we're going to divide by pi on each side. Remember, we're dividing by the pi calculator key, not by 3.14. So in our calculators, 380.3 divided by pi. Okay, hold that number in your calculator. You don't have to write it down, but I'm getting 120.999, and that means I'm left with radius squared. Remember how we get rid of this square? Anyone? We take the square root of each side. Remember that? So in your calculator, you're still holding the 120.99. And then we're going to do the square root of 120.99. You guys are going to have to hit second and then square root and then type in 120.999. And we get 10.999, which is close enough to 11. We know that it's 11 inches. Okay? So depending on what they've been given, they give you, first of all, look to see whether it's area or circumference, then plug in what they've given you, and then it becomes an algebra problem, okay? So on your homework, and it looks like this. The next page that you have should look like this. It won't say homework 1, but it will look like this, and you need to do 1 through 7 all. That's it. Okay? 1 through 7 all. And on number 3 and 4, I want you guys to do the exact circumference and area. So number 3 needs to be exact circumference and area, and also number 4, the exact circumference and area. Okay? All right, 1 through 7 on this page.